My friends, in life, people will hurt you. Sometimes intentionally, sometimes unintentionally. But the real question is, do we have to react instantly every time? Think about it. If every time someone throws a stone at you, you throw one back, soon the whole world will be full of broken windows and broken hearts. When someone hurts us, our mind pushes us to react immediately, to give it back, to prove we are not weak. But wisdom teaches us something deeper. Strength is not in instant reaction, but in patient response. Remember, boiling water softens a potato, but hardens an egg. It's not the situation, but how we respond to it that shapes who we become. My friends, have you ever noticed the difference between a reaction and a response? Imagine this: you're driving your car peacefully. Suddenly, another car cuts in front of you without any signal. Instantly, your blood pressure rises, your hand reaches for the horn, and your tongue is ready with a few very colorful words. The audience laughs. That's a reaction. Instant, emotional, uncontrolled. But let's pause. What if you take a deep breath and think for a moment? Maybe that person was rushing to the hospital. Maybe he simply made a mistake, the same way we have also made mistakes while driving. Then instead of shouting or chasing him down, you choose to stay calm. That's a response. Thoughtful, controlled, wise. You see, my dear friends, a reaction comes from the heart in the heat of the moment, but a response comes from the mind after reflection. Reaction is fire, response is light. Reaction burns bridges, response builds understanding. Let me give you a small example from daily life. You receive a message late at night, you read it, and it upsets you. Immediately, your fingers are itching to type back an angry reply. But if you send that message in the heat of the moment, chances are tomorrow morning you will regret it. How many of us have done that? Pause, raise hand, smile, yes. Almost all of us. That's the power of reaction. It makes us slaves of the moment. But when you wait, when you sleep over it, when you give your mind a little space, you may realize that sending that angry text is unnecessary. You may choose a more graceful, mature reply, or maybe no reply at all. That, my friends, is response. One old saying beautifully puts it: when the archer shoots an arrow, he cannot call it back. When the speaker speaks a word, he cannot take it back. A reaction is like an arrow shot without aim. It may hit, it may hurt, and it may destroy. But a response is like a carefully aimed arrow, intentional, meaningful, and effective. So always remember, a reaction is a sign of weakness, because anyone can get angry instantly. A response is a sign of strength, because only the wise can pause, reflect, and then act. The next time someone hurts you, ask yourself, do I want to be weak and react, or strong and respond? The answer you choose in that moment will decide whether you create peace or chaos in your life. My friends, sometimes silence speaks louder than words. When someone hurts us, our immediate urge is to respond, to give it back, to prove ourselves right. But have you noticed? Silence can be more powerful than 1,000 words. Think of a heated argument you've seen. One person is shouting, raising their voice, throwing harsh words like arrows. If the other person also shouts back, what happens? Fire meets fire, and the whole house burns down. But if one person stays silent, suddenly the shouting has nowhere to land. The fire dies without fuel. Silence is not weakness, it is wisdom. Let me share a small story. A monk was once insulted by a villager. The villager shouted, cursed, and even used ugly words. But the monk stood quietly, looking calm and peaceful. After some time, the villager got tired and asked, "Why didn't you reply? Why didn't you defend yourself?" The monk smiled and said, If someone brings you a gift and you refuse to accept it, who does the gift belong to? The villager replied, "Of course, it still belongs to the giver." The monk said, "Exactly. Your anger, your insults, they belong to you, not me. I choose not to accept them." Isn't that powerful? Silence doesn't mean you are defeated. Silence means you are strong enough not to be dragged into someone else's negativity. Many people misunderstand silence as weakness. But silence is actually the highest form of self-control. It takes courage not to react when you have every reason to. It takes wisdom to hold your tongue when your ego is begging you to fight back. You see, words spoken in anger are like arrows shot without aim. Once released, you cannot take them back. Silence gives you space. Silence gives you time. Silence protects you from regret. When you hold silence, you are not losing the battle, you are winning the war within. Because the real war is not with the person who hurt you, the real war is with your own emotions. The beauty of silence is that it changes the atmosphere. Imagine if someone insults you and you just smile silently. The other person gets confused. They expect resistance, but they receive peace. They expect anger, but they see calmness. That's when silence becomes the loudest reply. Silence doesn't mean you are empty inside. Silence means you are so full of strength that you don't need to waste it in unnecessary battles. So, my friends, remember this: when someone hurts you, your silence can be more powerful than 1,000 arguments. Because silence is not the absence of words, it is the presence of wisdom. My friends, one of the biggest mistakes we make in life is this: when someone hurts us, we immediately assume it is about us. We think, why me? What did I do wrong? Why are they treating me like this? But in most cases, their hurtful behavior has very little to do with us and everything to do with what's happening inside them. Think about it. A happy person, a content person, a person at peace with themselves, does not go around hurting others. A person who is full of joy will share joy. A person who is full of love will share love. But a person who is full of pain will share pain. A person who is carrying bitterness will spread bitterness. People don't give you what you deserve. They give you what they carry inside. Imagine someone walking in the market carrying a bucket full of mud. If they bump into you, what will spill out? Mud. Not because you deserve it, but because that's what they were carrying. In the same way, when someone speaks harshly to you or treats you badly, it's not because you deserve it. It's because that's what they are filled with. They are carrying frustration, anger, disappointment, or insecurity, and when life bumps them, it spills on you. I'll give you an example. Once, a man came to a wise teacher and started shouting at him, calling him names, trying to provoke him. The students were shocked, but the teacher stayed calm. Later, the students asked, "Guruji, why didn't you get angry?" The teacher smiled and said, "When a sick person coughs, do you get angry at him?" "No, because you know he is unwell." In the same way, when people hurt others, they are coughing out their inner sickness. Why should I take it personally? Isn't that powerful? When someone hurts you, you have two choices. Take it personally and allow their poison to enter your heart, or understand that they are simply coughing out their pain. If you drink their poison, you will suffer. If you see it as their illness, you will stay free. The truth is, people project their inner world on others. An insecure boss may insult his employees, not because they are incompetent, but because he feels inadequate. A friend who gossips about you behind your back may not actually hate you, but she may be jealous of something in your life. A family member who criticizes you constantly may not see your flaws, but may only be reflecting their own disappointments. So, my dear friends, don't take every hurt personally. When you carry every word, every insult, every criticism in your heart, you are allowing strangers to control your happiness. Why should you let their pain become your pain? Why should their bitterness become your burden? Next time someone hurts you, remind yourself, this is not about me. This is about them, like the mud in the bucket, like the cough of a sick person. It is simply a reflection of what they are carrying inside. Your worth is not defined by their words. Your value is not reduced by their behavior. And your peace should not be disturbed by their pain. So instead of asking, why are they doing this to me? Ask, what must they be going through that they are doing this? That shift in perspective will set you free, because when you don't take hurt personally, you rise above it. And rising above is the true sign of strength. My friends, one of the most liberating truths in life is this: nobody can control your emotions unless you give them the power to do so. Think about it carefully. If someone presses a button on a remote and the TV instantly changes, it means the remote has full control over that device. Sadly, many of us live our lives like that TV, allowing others to hold the remote to our emotions. Someone says a rude word and we immediately get angry. Someone ignores us and we immediately feel unworthy. Someone praises us and suddenly we're on cloud nine. Our emotions go up and down not because of who we are, but because we've handed over the remote control of our inner peace to other people. But here's the truth: your emotions belong to you, not to anyone else. Nobody can make you angry. Nobody can make you sad. What actually happens is this: they behave a certain way, and then we interpret their behavior in a way that disturbs our mind. It is not the action, it is our interpretation of the action that shakes us. Let me share a story. A student once asked his teacher, "Why do people's words hurt me so much?" The teacher asked the student to hold out his hand. Then he placed a small stone in his palm and said, "This stone represents their words. Now close your hand and grip it tightly." The student squeezed the stone, and after a while his hand began to hurt. The teacher said, "Is the stone hurting you because of its nature or because you are holding on to it?" The student realized it wasn't the stone itself, but his grip on it that caused the pain. In the same way, people's words are just sounds in the air. It is when we hold on to them, interpret them, replay them in our minds again and again, that's when they hurt us. Now imagine two scenarios. Someone calls you a fool. If you instantly react, "How dare you call me that?" you have allowed them to push your button. But if you pause and ask yourself, "Do I really believe this about myself? Is this person's opinion the truth of my life?" Suddenly the power shifts back to you. Their word only has the meaning you choose to give it. You see, emotions are like visitors. They knock on the door of your mind. You can decide whether to let them in or not. Anger knocks. You can say, "Not today." Sadness knocks. You can say, "I'll sit with you for a while," but you cannot take over my entire house. When you realize that you are the gatekeeper, you stop being a victim of every passing insult, rejection, or failure. Another way to understand this is with the example of a thermostat and a thermometer. A thermometer only reflects the temperature of the environment. If it's hot outside, it shows hot. If it's cold, it shows cold. Most people live like thermometers, constantly reflecting the moods and actions of others. But a thermostat sets the temperature of the room. It influences the environment instead of being influenced by it. When you control your emotions, you become like a thermostat. You decide, no matter how rude someone is, I will remain calm. No matter how unfair the situation, I will respond with clarity, not chaos. And my friends, this is not about suppressing emotions. It's about mastering them. Suppression means pretending you are not angry while burning inside. Mastery means acknowledging the anger, but choosing not to let it dictate your words or actions. Mastery is freedom. So remember, you are not a remote controlled device. You are a conscious human being with the power to choose your response. Don't hand over the remote of your emotions to others. Keep it in your own hands. Because once you realize that nobody can make you angry without your permission, nobody can make you sad without your agreement, you will taste the sweetness of true freedom. And that freedom, my dear friends, is the foundation of lasting peace. My friends, one of the simplest yet most powerful tools we have to save ourselves from regret is something so small, so practical, yet so life-changing: the pause. Before reacting, before speaking, before sending that message, before shouting back, we must learn the art of the pause. Just 5 seconds of silence can sometimes prevent 5 years of broken relationships. Imagine this: you are sitting at your workplace. Your boss suddenly criticizes your work in front of everyone. Instantly, your ego feels attacked. Your mind is boiling, your tongue is ready with a sharp reply, and your pride screams, "Say something right now." If you give in to that instant impulse, you might end up saying something that costs you your job, your respect, or even your peace of mind. But what if instead you pause for 5 seconds, you take a slow, deep breath, let the rush of adrenaline calm down, and only then choose your words? The difference is enormous. In the first case, anger speaks. In the second case, wisdom speaks. The pause is not weakness, it is strength. Neuroscience even proves this. When someone hurts you, your brain's amygdala, the emotional center, fires up instantly, pushing you to react. But when you pause, even for 5 seconds, your prefrontal cortex, the rational part of the brain, gets activated. It's like giving the driver's seat back to wisdom, instead of letting anger take over. Just those 5 seconds can mean the difference between chaos and clarity. Let me give you a simple example. Have you ever typed an angry message on your phone, read it again, and then deleted it before sending? That's the pause. How many relationships have been saved because people decided not to press send? Those extra few seconds gave them the power to think, is this worth it? Will this bring peace, or will it bring war? Even in daily life, the pause can transform situations. A parent about to scold a child, if they pause, they may realize the child didn't disobey out of rebellion, but out of innocence. A husband or wife about to argue, if they pause, they may realize the fight isn't about who is right, but about who values the relationship more. A friend about to reply harshly, if they pause, they may choose kindness instead. You see, words are like arrows. Once released, they cannot be taken back. The pause gives you the chance to check your aim before you shoot. Without the pause, you may release arrows that wound. With the pause, you can release words that heal. There is an old story of a wise man who told his disciple, "When you are angry, before you speak, take a sip of water and hold it in your mouth for a few seconds. By the time you swallow, your anger will have cooled down." The disciple laughed and said, "That's too simple." But later, he realized the wisdom. Those few seconds of silence stopped him from saying things that would have caused permanent damage. Sometimes wisdom hides in the simplest practices. My dear friends, life is not about never getting angry, never feeling hurt. We are human, we will feel emotions. But the true strength lies in what we do in the gap between the hurt and our response. That gap, the pause, is where maturity lives. That gap is where peace is protected. That gap is where relationships are saved. So the next time someone hurts you, remember the power of the pause. Count to 5. Breathe. Let the first wave of emotion pass. Then choose your response carefully. Because once words are spoken, they cannot be erased. But if you pause, you may find that sometimes the best response is no reaction at all. And sometimes the best words are the ones left unsaid. The pause is not just about seconds. It is about wisdom. And if you master this tiny practice, you will save yourself from countless regrets, countless fights, and countless moments of unnecessary pain. 5 seconds, my friends. Just 5 seconds of patience can protect a lifetime of peace. My friends, when someone hurts us, the first voice we usually hear is not the voice of wisdom, but the voice of ego. The ego whispers, show them who you are. Don't let them get away with it. Hurt them back. And if we listen to that voice, we react with anger, sarcasm, revenge, or bitterness. But here's the truth, when you fight ego with ego, nobody wins. Both people walk away wounded, both hearts carry scars, and both minds lose peace. But when we rise above the ego and choose compassion, something magical happens. Compassion disarms negativity in a way that ego never can. Anger escalates a situation, compassion dissolves it. Ego adds fuel to the fire, compassion pours water on it. Ego makes enemies, compassion creates healing. Let me share a story. A young man once came to a saint, furious because his neighbor had insulted him. I want to teach him a lesson, he shouted. The saint looked at him calmly and asked, if a child throws mud at you, will you throw mud back at the child, or will you understand that the child is small and does not know better? The young man replied, of course, I wouldn't throw mud back at the child. The saint smiled and said, exactly. Many people in this world are grown in age, but still children in maturity. They throw mud not because you deserve it, but because that is all they know. Responding with mud only makes you dirty. Responding with compassion keeps you clean. How true is that? Compassion doesn't mean you agree with what someone did. Compassion doesn't mean you allow others to mistreat you. Compassion simply means you understand that their hurtful behavior comes from their own wounds, not from your worthlessness. When you see their pain behind their anger, you stop taking their words personally. Instead of reacting, you respond with understanding. Think about it practically. Suppose your colleague snaps at you in the office. The ego says, snap back, put them in their place. But compassion says, maybe they're under pressure. Maybe something is troubling them. If you reply with calmness instead of aggression, you may actually help them feel lighter. You not only protect your peace, but you also protect theirs. Even in family life, compassion transforms relationships. A spouse says something harsh after a long day. If you react with ego, the fight will grow bigger. But if you pause and respond with compassion, I can see you're tired, let's talk later. You stop the fight before it even begins. Instead of two wounded egos battling, two hearts come closer. And remember this, my friends, compassion is not weakness. Many people think, if I don't react, people will walk over me. No, compassion is not about being a doormat. Compassion is about being strong enough not to let others' behavior control your inner state. Compassion is the ability to stay kind when it's easier to be cruel, to stay calm when it's easier to explode, to stay human when the ego wants you to be a monster. Science even backs this. Studies show that when we practice compassion, our brain releases oxytocin, the hormone that promotes bonding and reduces stress. Compassion doesn't just heal others, it heals us too. Anger damages your body, compassion repairs it. Anger poisons your mind, compassion cleanses it. Anger steals your sleep, compassion gives you peace. So the next time someone hurts you, ask yourself, do I want to add more pain to this world, or do I want to add more healing? If you choose ego, you spread the cycle of hurt. If you choose compassion, you break the cycle and start a new one, a cycle of peace. My friends, compassion is not about what the other person deserves, it is about who you want to be. The world is already full of ego, anger, and hate. What it needs more of is patience, forgiveness, and compassion. And when you respond with compassion instead of ego, you are not just protecting your peace. You are becoming a source of light in someone else's darkness. Because in the end, people may forget what you said. They may forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And if your compassion makes someone feel seen, understood, and less alone, then you have already won the greatest battle, the battle against your own ego. My friends, one of the greatest skills we can develop for our peace of mind is learning to detach from drama